We're here to debate RNC spokesperson Kayleigh McEnany and Wendy Osefo, founder and CEO of the 1954 Project. Ladies, I am really looking forward to this discussion. Kayleigh, start with you. I mean, we all watched that interview play out yesterday. First, he talks about not needing to apologize to Monica, then basically says that we should all feel sorry for him and all that he's been through all these years, and then goes on to even say that President Trump is partly to blame for the collateral damage. I guess to quote Hillary Clinton's book title, what happened in this interview?
This is ridiculous. You see Bill Clinton there, who is the poster boy of the Me Too movement. He represents a group of elite men who prey on unsuspecting women, like 22-year-old Monica Lewinsky. She was an intern. This ruined her life. She called herself the most humiliated woman in the world. She lost job opportunities. It stalled her life for decades. She contemplated suicide, jumping off a balcony. It destroyed her. And for Bill Clinton to sit there and egotistically claim that he lost $16 million when she lost part of her life, it is ridiculous. And for him to try to claim he's part of the Me Too movement, the positive, empowering female side of this, it's an insult to women.
Unbelievable. Wendy, you know, Bill Clinton used to be the most popular politician in the world. He was known for his ability to connect with people, his empathy. And then he goes on last night to say that he was sort of thrown off by that question. If anyone knows how to handle an interview and handle a simple question like that, it would be Bill Clinton. How does anyone defend it?
I agree there. You know, you can't defend the indefensible. And, you know, he went ahead and he said that he got hot under the collar and he regrets basically what he said, because he knows that whether you sit on the right or the left side of the aisle, his comments are something that really got people in an uproar. But what we have to understand here is that when it comes to sexual assault and issues of this nature, it's not a political issue. And I love the fact that Kayleigh and other members of the GOP are getting hot under the collar around Clinton's comments. But let's keep in mind here that we currently have someone sitting in the White House at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue who has accusers.
Wendy, here's the thing. Wendy, I got to jump in here.
So
I've got to jump in because you're doing exactly what Bill Clinton did in that interview.
I'm not.
And every
Don't
time,
do that, Abby.
no, every
Don't do
time
that,
we,
Abby. I'm not doing
Wendy,
what Bill Clinton
let me
doing.
finish.
That's
Let me finish, Wendy. Every time we have you on the show, you turn it back to Donald Trump. In this conversation, in that interview that happened yesterday on the Today Show with Bill Clinton himself, that had nothing to do with Donald Trump. That had to do with Bill Clinton's past and whether or not he felt he needed to personally apologize to Monica Lewinsky. So this has nothing to do with Donald Trump here. So when you go that direction, I think that is what turns a lot of people off. Kayleigh, why does it always go back to Donald Trump?
Well, it's ridiculous to try to draw an analogy between Bill Clinton, who abused the Oval Office, and President Trump's words is really quite astonishing. Those so-called accusers, by the way, John Solomon at The Hill reported, were paid off by Gloria Allred. One had her mortgage paid off. Another one was offered payments from a tabloid. You know, to draw an analogy between what was a publicity stunt and the serious allegations by Juanita Broaddrick and Paula Jones and Monica Lewinsky, who almost jumped off a balcony because of what Bill Clinton did to her in the Oval Office. Not an analogy there. We should all sit here and condemn Bill Clinton for those actions.
Yeah, Wendy, the reason I'm fired up about this, by the way, is because we're all women in this conversation. And the interview that happened yesterday, I said, didn't have to do with Donald Trump. It had to do with Bill Clinton, and that's why we're talking about this. Can't we as women take politics out of this and say he could have come up with a much better, much more heartfelt response to that question?
And Abby, that's what I said. So for you again to sit here and say that I sounded like Bill Clinton is very offensive. I did not say that. I said you cannot defend the indefensible, and no matter what side of the aisle you sit on, what Clinton said was incorrect. However, in the same token, we have a president who was accused by women of doing the same thing. So this is not a political issue. Clinton is wrong. That is indefensible. No one is saying that he's not. But for us to sit here and say that we're going to piece and parsemeal what is going on in the past versus what's currently going on is just completely, as women, not doing justice to the Me Too movement. And anyone that says that should be ashamed.
I don't think that's what this conversation is about at all. But I think we can all agree that that response yesterday was appalling and embarrassing for Bill Clinton. And we'll see how the fallout continues to play out. Ladies, Kayleigh, Wendy, good to have you here with us this morning. Good to see you, ladies.
If Clinton got that upset discussing Lewinsky, imagine if the Today Show had asked about the women who told him no. Joining us now are Kathleen Willey and Juanita Broaddrick, author of the new book, You'd Better Put Some Ice on That, How I Survived Being Raped by Bill Clinton. It's great to see both of you. I have been thinking about both of you all day, and also Paula. Juanita, I want to start with you. Bill Clinton did approach you, did he not, in 1992 to apologize, correct?
Yes, he did. It was in 1991. I was in
91.
Little Rock at a nursing home seminar. Someone comes to the door and says, I'm wanted in the hallway. I go out, and the man points down around the corner by the elevator. And so I go down there, and as I round the corner, there stands Bill Clinton with two of his Arkansas State Police guards. And he rushes over to me, and he starts this profuse apology and saying, I'm so sorry for what I did. I'm a changed man. I'm just not the man I used to be. And even said, I'm a family man now. And I just looked at him, Laura, and I was just flabbergasted. And I said, you go to hell. And I walked off. And I could not believe it. And then the nurses that were with me followed me out, and they came over to me and they said, what did he want? And I told them. And then I began to feel a little bad that I had said that. I kept thinking, well, maybe he really meant that. Maybe he really was apologizing.
And then what happened?
Then,
you realized, fast forward that he was running for president, and you were going to perhaps be an obstacle to that?
Right. That's exactly. A week later, after he apologized, he announced he was running for president.
A week later? Oh, that's really
Yes.
subtle. That's really subtle. Kathleen Willey,
Yeah,
you watched that interview today, and I mean, I've got to say, I'm always stunned. Why am I stunned? He has not anything about this experience, which is he's actually a smart guy. So I'm almost speechless. Your reaction?
I was speechless too. I was outraged. I could not believe the words that were coming out of his mouth, and he was so arrogant and pompous about the whole thing. He actually believes, I think he actually does believe that he didn't do anything wrong. And, you know, he just blanket apology. I've apologized to everybody in the world. Well, okay, but he hasn't apologized to the people that he hurt and the people that he destroyed, the women that he destroyed. He hasn't apologized to me. He has not apologized to Paula. He apologized to Juanita, but as we see, there was a plan to that. There was a purpose for that. And he hasn't apologized to Leslie or numerous other women who've come forward and said and told stories about it. He never will. He doesn't get it. It's just the way it is.
Well, but he seems to think that he handled it well. I mean, to watch that interview, he didn't say he would have done anything differently. I mean, look, everybody makes mistakes in their lives. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. We all do. I mean, Lord knows, we all do. But you would think 20 years later you'd say, you know, I wish I could turn back the clock and, you know, show better judgment. But, I mean, I do that like 50 times a day. Like, why did I do that? But it's just a little strange. Alison Camerata on CNN offered somewhat tepid critique of this performance. Let's watch.
There could have been a more practiced answer, or one that I think alluded to the notion that the rules have changed in the past 20 years. Obviously, the rules were different, and that he would have done something perhaps differently today, or that he would say something differently about it today.
He could have had a more practiced answer, Juanita. I mean, yeah.
Oh, my
He
gosh.
could have also not portrayed himself
Oh,
as
my
a
gosh.
victim. How does he become the victim in all of this?
Oh, I
Go ahead, Juanita.
know. I know. I saw this decrepit, angry old man who was trying to play the victim card. The same man who 40 years ago raped me. Yeah, it was disgusting.
Well, Kathleen, it would have been really amazing. I mean, I'm shocked that Melvin asked these questions, but it would have been it would have been really amazing if he asked about Juanita, you, and the others. But he focused on Monica Lewinsky because I guess that was the impeachment. But I mean, even Joe Lockhart. Let's just play this quickly. I want Kathleen to react to this. Joe Lockhart, former White House press secretary, said this today. Let's watch.
It highlights the vast difference between what it was like 20 years ago and today. I think in that interview, he succumbed to being the victim and feeling victimized.
Victimized, Kathleen. If he apologized
yeah,
to
the
you
victim.
today,
He's, he left the White House $16 million in debt. Well, let me tell you about what being in debt is like, and not being able to get a meaningful job after being through all of that. And he hired all these women to work in his office, and he has a sexual harassment policy in Arkansas. Yeah, well, he probably had a lot of women around so he could, assault them. And there's no sexual harassment policy in Arkansas. There never was one. There never was one.
Kathleen,
and, it's just ridiculous.
Kathleen, if he had called you today and said, "Look, I know I came off bad on that interview, but I'm really sorry for causing you pain. I'm sorry for what I did," would you accept his apology?
No, I tell him the same thing that Juanita told him.
Which would
I
be?
tell him to go to hell.
Juanita, same question. If he called you today, I mean, look, everybody can be redeemed, right? We're supposed to believe in redemption, all of us. I mean, if most of us do. I mean,
I don't believe, I don't believe there's any redemption in regard to Bill and Hillary Clinton. I do not believe that. And I would probably tell him the same thing again today.
all right. Thank you both for being here.
I suffer. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you both for being here tonight and
You're welcome.
sharing your
Glad to be
perspective.
here.